Found on nearly every continent besides Australia and Antarctica. The steppe biome is usually found between the desert and the forest biomes. Abiotic factors include recurrent droughts causing episodic fodder shortages. Soil has very little nutrients or moisture because of the semi-arid climate, and typically soil is underlain by chernozons, which carries calcium through groundwater. The steppes have a dry mid-latitude climate with little amounts of trees since the mountains block the precipitation from reaching the land. The small amount of trees also allows for strong winds in the steppe regions. The average temperature in the summer is 104 degrees, average temperature in the winter -40 degrees. Annual rainfall is about 10 to 30 inches.
Adaptations of native plants include fringed sagebrush that has a unique root system. It adapts to the conditions that it finds itself living in. It grows deep tap roots where the water level is low. Milk vetch has a very long tap root and can get water deep in the ground. Rhubarb is a perennial plant with large fleshy roots and large leaves with long, thick stems. Adaptations of native animals include the northern lynx that can climb well and are good swimmers, which help them when hunting. They have very good vision, which helps them to stalk their prey over long distances. The saiga antelope's nose is an adaptation to the extremely cold and dusty environment in which it lives. The saker falcon have large eyes and a short for locating prey in the dark, and a hooked beak snatching the prey that might be hidden in burrows in the ground. An example of cooperation in the steppe is that saker falcons will use the nests of black kites and imperial eagles in order to lay their own eggs. Northern lynx are in competition with northern goshawks that exploit snowshoe hares in an area so thoroughly that it depletes food for the lynx.
Some ways humans are using the land within the steppe biome are by plowing the grass for farming and digging holes in search of oil. Threatened or endangered species include prairie dogs, black-footed ferrets, and the saiga antelopes. The absence of the black-footed ferret has harmed the food web in reducing the amount of consumers that maintain the steppe's plant population. The loss of the saiga antelope has impacted the biome by causing its predator population to decrease. Finally, the reduced prairie dog population has limited the spreading of local plant seeds since the prairie dogs are not there to distribute them around the land.
Threatened or endangered animals include the black-footed ferret. Defenders of Wildlife and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service are working to return the species to the reservation. Since 1994, WWF has been involved in the conservation and management of the saiga antelope by supporting and promoting of the development of the Convention on Migratory Species, Memorandum on Saiga Conservation. Prairie Dog Habitat Conservation Area ideally allows prairie dogs to function with minimal human intervention without causing or experiencing significant negative impacts to or from adjacent lands.
Invasive organisms include the leafy spurge, sickleweed, and the Aphthona flea beetle. The Aphthona flea beetle has reduced the foliar coverage and density of leaf spurges. The spurge has a strong filtering effect on plant species composition. The sickleweed has taken over grasslands recently in the northern U.S. and has also taken resources from regular grass in the area, leaving less food for animals. Antarctica is found in the southern hemisphere and is its own continent at the bottom. The climate of the area it's extremely cold year-round, and it's approximately -20 degrees to -60 degrees monthly averages.
Abiotic factors include the permafrost layer, a frozen subsoil consisting of gravel and fine soil, Antarctic winds called katabatics, formed by cold, dense air flowing out from the polar plateau of the interior of the landmass, and the short summer days and long cold winters due to the Antarctic's position on Earth paired with Earth's axis tilt. Some native plant adaptations are represented in the tufted saxifrage, having a well-developed underground root system for storing carbohydrates so that they can respond quickly to the cold weather of the tundra. Another example is the paskflower, which grows low to the ground to shelter the plant from harsh climates of the tundra. It also is covered in fine silky hairs which help insulate the plant. Finally, the purple saxifrage is a plant that grows in low, tight clumps which are able to exist in the permafrost layer. Examples of native animal adaptations are found in the Antarctic krill's ability to withstand long periods of starvation by using their muscles to shrink themselves. This happens over the winter months when the krill are under seasonal ice. Weddell seals have large eyes to help with hunting prey underwater and frequently under ice where there is very little light. Finally, the emperor penguin feed on fish that they catch on dives that are longer and deeper than any other penguin or bird species. This allows them to reach and exploit food resources that other species can't reach. An example of competition is found in the battle between the leopard seal and the orca for food resources found in the emperor penguin. A second example is of the Weddell seal's competition with the snow petrels over territory and food resources around the breathing holes in tide troughs. The Antarctic climate has an extremely cold, year-round temperature that ranges from -20 degrees Celsius to -60 degrees Celsius. It has winter and summer seasons, receiving 6 to 10 inches of rain a year, falling mostly as snow. The biome is much like a cold desert, lacking significant precipitation, but there is a lot of standing water as a result of the permafrost. Each summer, the upper layer melts just enough to create small bogs and pools. Water will not soak into the ground, though, because the permafrost blocks it. In the winter, these pools freeze, and the cycle repeats itself. Very little moisture is lost to evaporation. Humans use the land through legal and illegal fishing, sometimes resulting in overfishing, which may deplete a population. Also, this may kill other fish, called bycatch, accidentally caught alongside the target species. Fishing may also destroy the habitat because of the fishing gear used. Tourism is the second way humans use the land. It brings pollutants with the ships and aircrafts, possibilities of oil spills, and the destruction of wildlife and habitat by the presence of people and infrastructure. Some examples of threatened and endangered species in the Antarctic include the northern royal albatross and the blue whale. The loss of the blue whale by whaling activity changes the biome by releasing toxic chemicals and waste from ships that then pollute the oceans. As the northern royal albatross species continue to die out, tourism escalates in order for people to see these birds before they are extinct, also changing the biome by releasing chemicals and toxic waste into the water. These endangered species are protected in a multitude of ways. For example, although tourism in the Antarctic is unregulated, most tour operators visiting the region are members of the International Association of the Antarctica Tour Operators, which aims to ensure safe and environmentally responsible tourism practices. WWF is using satellite tags to see what specific routes are used by the whales and which areas are used the most often. This information will help inform decisions about protected areas to prevent interactions between whales and salmon farms or wild-caught fisheries. Invasive organisms include rats, king crabs, chironomid midges, and dandelions that vary in 86 different types of invasive plant seeds. The impact of these invasive species is unknown since Antarctica has been frozen for so long. However, it is known that the king crab threatens the seafloor communities, and rats feed on nesting birds, harming the natural food web by prohibiting the species from reproducing.
The Alpine's location is found in the Himalayan mountains, the Andes Mountains, Rocky Mountains. Alpine biomes are found in the mountain regions all around the world. They are usually at an altitude of about 10,000 feet or more. The alpine biome lies just below the snow line of a mountain. The alpine climate is one of the coldest biomes in the world because of its high altitudes. Summer temperatures can range between -12 to 10 degrees Celsius. The average precipitation is 30 centimeters a year.
Abiotic factors of the alpine tundra is the altitude of 10,000 feet is right below the snow line of the mountains, and the growing season is 180 days. The soil is also well drained in the area. Adaptations of some animals like the alpine facilla grows on rocky, open, wooded places in the mountains because of stems that will grow from one long taproot. Beargrass is a fire-resistant species that is the first plant to grow after a fire. Wild potatoes are found in thickets and waste areas and can grow in extreme temperatures, heavy snowfall, and strong winds. Adaptations of native animals are like the alpaca has thick fur to survive the cold climate of the Andes. Its long neck helps spot predators among the rocks of the mountain slopes. Chinchillas are nocturnal. The cold weather is at high altitudes, which means denser chinchilla fur. Yaks spend their summers on the high plateaus above the snow line to get away from the heat. They can easily live in temperatures of -40 degrees because of their dense coats, but will move to lower plains before the freezing winter weather arrives. Some examples of cooperation and competition in the biome is the pika works to benefit the forbs and sedges that it eats by spreading the seeds as it collects the plant for food storage during hibernation. Also, when a caribou is looking for food, the Arctic fox follows. When the caribou digs in the ground snow looking for food, it digs up the soil, bringing the subnivean mammals to the surface for the fox to eat.
The threatened or endangered species include the wild yak population, which is decreasing very quickly because of the uncontrolled hunting and by their pastures being taken over by the domestic yak. The grizzly bear is endangered due to the lack of the food in the region.
Because of the loss of yaks, many invasive plant species have overgrown and are taking over the land now that the yaks are not there to maintain the population. Also, being in a high demand for hunting purposes, their endangerment brings more humans to hunt them, disturbing the wildlife and disrupting the natural habitat. Reduced accessibility to food diminishes survival rates and results in fewer calves being born. Wild yak are now officially protected in China. All while the United States Fish and Wildlife Service plans to draft a rule to delist the grizzly bear from the Federal Endangered Species Act and turn management over to the state of Montana. The International Fund for Animal Welfare filed a petition with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service asking for it to list the prairie caribou as endangered, which would increase awareness of the species' plight and prohibit the import of any prairie caribou products in the United States.
Humans use the land through construction and attraction of ski resorts that have greatly impacted the alpine tundra, as pollution from both are causing poor air quality. The influx of people has led to an increase in construction, which has diminished the size of the alpine tundra. Hydroelectric power development, often involving many different watersheds, has led to the establishment of electricity-dependent industries. Manufacturing products like aluminum, chemicals, and specialty steels has released toxins that have harmed the biome through acid rain. The invasive species called the Himalayan honeysuckle is a garden escape bee, spread by birds and sambar deer, which carry the seeds across the biome. The weed dominates and overruns the land. Willows are spread by wind-blown seed, allowing it to spread long distances into high elevations. They invade the area and reduce the natural biodiversity of alpine plants. Blackberries invade at high elevations, spreading rapidly and overtaking the space that native plants require to grow. Feral horses cause soil loss, compaction, and erosion, trampling of vegetation, and reducing plant species richness, and damage bog habitats.